Speakers. Number 7. Transmission.
Konnichiwa. My name is Tai Hakajo, and I come from Japan, and I have the great honor that evening of having opportunity to inform to you, listeners of Resonance FM, about the most noble Japanese philosophy and martial art, Kotatsu Hodo. I would sincerely like to praise the wonder and the great wisdom of Kotatsu Hodo. When I want to practice Kotatsu Hodo, I want to become able to do many things I could not do before. For example, fly and turn into a cat. So, Kotatsu Hodo was developed as an offshoot from esoteric and secret branch of Japanese Zen Buddhism. This secret branch is known as No One. So, Kotatsu Hodo is a spiritual child of No One Zen Buddhism. No One Zen Buddhism teaches that the purpose of our lives is to be a bit sarcastic. Kotatsu Hodo was formulated by a renowned Buddhist priest called Niken in the 6th century, a common era. Niken studied many Buddhist and non-Buddhist teachings for many years. And legend has it that he then devised highly powerful means of meditation so that he could finally discern the ultimate truth of existence from all of the knowledge that he had accrued from his many years of study. The means of meditation he devised involved such practices as lying down in puddles, strapping himself to a log, then jumping off cliffs. And once he hopped up and down making noise like a seagull for 17 years. During these times, he was often struck by profound realizations, which, fortunately, he committed to writing. Copies of these valuable insights survive to this very day. He also invented a curling tongue for horse manes and wrote a best-selling cookbook, but that is by the way. Here is a famous quote from his most profound treatise, the title of which is Contemplation and Realization. I, Niken, have studied all canons of thought, all sutras and commentaries, and they are all boring. Boring, boring, boring. I hereby vow I shall study the great questions concerning life and death no more. No One Zen Buddhism is about the closest to revealing the true way of living, but is still boring. Being slightly sarcastic is boring. From now on, I, Niken, am going to put all my energy into mucking about and being a bloody nuisance. That is a tentative translation. Immediately after writing this, it is said that he picked up 3 eggs and put them under a fat man just as he was sitting down, and then laughed in his unhappy fat man's face. Niken met many critics in his lifetime. He was called insane by other priests of other schools of Buddhism. He quickly gained notoriety for being a thorn in the side. He would annoy his critics by challenging them to public debate and then not turn up. Or he would turn up, but as his opponent spoke, he would repeat what they were saying in the voice of an effeminate man. Once in debate with Nembutsu, a Buddhist sage Ryo Nitsumo-san, Niken infuriated him by throwing small pebbles at his bald head while he spoke. Ryo Nitsu became so enraged that he struck Niken across the face. Niken reacted by saying to his assailant, "Ooh, that wasn't very Buddhist, was it?" The assembled crowd laughed so much that in his shame and dishonor, Ryo Nitsu renounced his faith, moved to Osaka and opened an eel shop. The philosophy of Kotatsu Hodo met with many obstacles. It was difficult to disseminate this teaching because often, when trying to convert someone, the practitioner would just tell them a lot of old rubbish in order to have a bit of a laugh. I am able to tell you clearly and correctly this evening by mucking about in a silent way as I do. I have the copy of the Resonance FM yellow pages in front of me, and as I speak, I am drawing ladies' bosoms on front cover. Although I was mucking around at the beginning of my talk when I said that if you practice Kotatsu Hodo, you will be able to fly. You won't. That was a wind-up. So was the thing about turning into a cat. Come on, that's impossible. So, what is the purpose of the teaching of Kotatsu Hodo? And no other school of Buddhism places such importance on the concept of being irritating. What led the wise Nikan to realize that the correct way to live is to commit countless daily acts of annoying pointlessness. Again, a quote from another of his treatises, which is called Realization and Contemplation. The established principles of Buddhism are much revered. The middle way, the concept of non-substantiality, the truth of temporary existence, but I don't care. I just want to act the twat. That is tentative translation. So, we can see that Nikan came to his realization only when he had stopped meditating and pondering deeply and started instead to just dick around. Nikan died at the age of 57 after fearlessly kicking a samurai in the bottom as the samurai bent over to pull up socks. A samurai, Tashin Choi, nailed Nikan to a wooden post through the neck, disemboweled him, and then beat him to death with his own entrails. It is generally agreed that for all wonderful examples of deeds of petty mischief, this was one where Nikan should have contemplated the words of Tao master Kaniki Fudo, who once said, "Never kick a samurai." And indeed, it was a foolish thing to do. Consider that samurai, one, have highly developed sense of personal honor which will not tolerate public humility. Two, are hot-tempered and violent. And three, I like to kill people very slowly. So, how can you practice the noble philosophy and a martial art of Kotatsu Hodo? Well, there are certain exercises and rituals. Which will help you attain a state of being a bothersome, what we call a bothersomehood. First of all, I learn the following mantras. Oh, that's interesting. Say that every 3 seconds when someone is talking to you. Second, there is a demon in your toy box. Say that to small children. Third, my mother tried to kill me when I was born. Say that when someone has nearly finished telling a amusing story. Kotatsu Hodo places a great emphasis on physical training. If you are to lead a life of puerile trickery, certain highly developed techniques must be learned. Assumption of innocence is a vital skill. For instance, if you have just stuck a piece of chewing gum on someone's hair in a crowded place, you must learn to look completely blameless. In this case, you need to practice a move known as lying heron. Take care to apply gum to hair with left hand from behind with slight tap. As you tap, a swivel atop of torso and head to the right and assume an expression of slight confusion, gazing into middle distance. And when you are more practiced, you will be able to move to advanced level, and after swiveling torso, you will be able to purse lips and express a dissatisfied hum like so, as if you just remembered you left cash point card at home. After completing an act of naughtiness, one must be prepared not only to run away, but to run away giggling. And this is highly advanced practice in Kotatsu Hodo. Running away may save you from severe beating, perhaps even save your life. If a Nikan had spent a bit more time perfecting this technique, he might have escaped the terrible fate he endured at the hands of the samurai whose bottom he booted. Some say this was Nikan's deliberate, selfless sacrifice so that future practitioners will not make the same mistake. I don't think so, though. I think that day he just took eye off ball. And nevertheless, this noble way of life is utterly meaningless without mastering the principle of running away giggling. To do this effectively requires the learning of revolutionary breathing techniques, particularly the breathing in of air through the nose and the expulsion of air through the ears, thus leaving mouth free for giggling. Simply will the air to come out of ear holes. It is hard at first, but as one deepens one's commitment, it becomes easier each day. I breathe in through my mouth. I breathe out through my ears. There, you can hear I can talk as I breathe out. I breathe in again through my mouth. I breathe out through my ears. And now my mouth is free to giggle. It is vital no one ever plays a trick on a practitioner of Kotatsu Hodo. This results in great dishonor. We are the ones who do the jokes. For the unfortunate practitioner of Kotatsu Hodo who falls foul of somebody else's tomfoolery, the only way to escape comic retribution and guarantee happy circumstances in next life is to kill oneself by falling for one's own trick. For example, get really drunk and then just before going to bed, put cyanide in cornflake packet. That's a good one. It works every time. That is why in our training monasteries we are constantly taught strictly and thoroughly how to swiftly counter such devilish challenges as a bucket full of water above door, kick me sign stuck to back, or inky eyepiece on telescope. The beauty of Kotatsu Hodo is that it can be applied to modern life. A bottom is a bottom in any century and is always begging to be kicked. Just make sure it does not belong to samurai. Perhaps many of us would find it hard in this day, and this is understandable, to perfect the ancient art of unsettling one's neighbor's water buffalo. But there is nothing to stop one spraying a passing dog with whipped cream. And this is the wonderful aspect of the philosophy of Kotatsu Hodo. You must trust your own wisdom. You will know instinctively whether it is right to steal one of our girl's flip-flops. It will be very clear to you whether you should or should not pour laxative in trifle. You will profoundly recognize whether or not it is correct to introduce a washing up liquid into town center fountain. And so, I have now come to the end of this evening's lecture about wonderful practice of Kotatsu Hodo. I have profound gratitude that you have listened to my words, and leave you with the knowledge that as I bid you farewell, I am flicking the V's. Good night, idiots.